Okay, hey, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the first of a three-part series on ServiceNow automation for non-IT requests. If you can move to the next slide, Nilish. Okay, just a few housekeeping notes. All lines have been put on mute just so that we could keep the distraction and the ambient noise in the background. All questions could be submitted through the questions box within your panel, and we will get to the questions at the end of the seminar webinar. And let's get started. Okay, so from an agenda point of view, we're going to talk about RPA, obviously, and how to automate non-IT requests. We'll talk about some building blocks. We'll talk about how to build some of the elements of a business case, and then Uday will talk about and get an introduction into AutomationEdge. Then we'll provide you with a demo and then Q&A at the end. Next slide, please. So traditionally, this is how a ServiceNow catalog would look like. So you have IT services, you have other categories. Today, we're really going to focus on the business service automation. A great way to extend the ServiceNow solution, the investment, to drive more from the business community versus IT, which we all know has been leveraging the ServiceNow solution, process automation for quite a while. Next slide, please. So here is a sampling of some of the different business functions that can leverage non-IT service requests. It's just a sampling. I'm sure as you're looking through this slide, you'll actually be thinking of some of the processes that you might have in your different departments. And again, a great way to leverage the investment, bring automation, and some key aspects over here. So you can take a look, and then we'll go to the next slide to talk about really how to build that business case for you to drive automation through your organization. Next slide, please. And obviously, using AutomationEdge can be the enabler to bring business process and non-IT automation to your organization. So here's an example of service request over a monthly period. So as you can see, these requests take quite an amount of human capital to deal with these service requests. And if you look at that $20 from an average cost, and that's really for an offshore service desk to resolve and address some of these service requests from a business point of view. And the cost of the company, could range from $30 to $120. Some of the key drivers are obviously, reducing operational costs. And with that, it's also improving accuracy. Because as we know, humans get tired, they make errors. The digital assistant and the bots really improve the accuracy. The other key thing from a non-IT automation, as well as IT automation, is to really speed up that process. Okay, these processes can take some time. Human capital, time equals money, and you can improve the turnaround time of a process. With automation, you can look at an example of end-of-month processing. End-of-month processing could take 10 days, could take 5 to 10 to 15 people bringing all of this disparate data in, massaging it, creating it, a report for finance CFO. With the assistance of process automation, you can actually take that down to an overnight process. So the speed and the accuracy and the errors or error-free is quite a tremendous value. So it definitely improves service delivery, improves customer sat. It actually improves employee satisfaction as well, because employees who do the repetitive tasks, the mundane tasks, um, they would probably like to do more knowledge work. So in the case of end of month processing, those finance individuals would rather read and look into the data from an analysis point of view versus simply executing these manual tasks and bringing a report, to finance. Um, Employee expectations these days. Employees really want to interact via a tablet, via a mobile. So if they're on their way to work and they want to order a conference room, right, they can do that right from their iPhone or their Android. And these are some of the things that can help drive automation within your organization. And those workers can be realigned. It's not that they're gonna go away. They can certainly be realigned and be more happy and successful at the jobs that they do. Next slide, please. So from a savings of time and effort, this is where you can really reduce the time and reduce the cost of a process. So you've got three buckets. You got hard savings, you got direct savings, and indirect. Again, time equals money, so improved service delivery is a key aspect. You can reduce the process costs. Yes, sometimes you can't 100% automate a process, but certainly if you can get close to the 80-20 rule or 90-10 rule, then that's a great thing as well. Scalability, the digital assistants, the bots, they're always available, always online, 7/24 by 365. Again, they help reduce human errors, and the additional cost of any rework that has to be done is also a cost savings, right? Do it once and do it right. The other thing is increase IT and employee productivity. That's a key thing. Instead of doing these manual tasks, they can really spend their time doing knowledge work, doing more productive work, happier at the job, better customer sat, better employee stat, and service delivery. So, these are some of the things, and also compliance from a standard operating procedure. The bots don't vary, right? It's a rule-based type of automation, and so you can really adhere to the compliance of a standard operating procedure. So, we are, at the point where we are enjoying the technology partnership that we have with ServiceNow. We are certified on their platform. We reside in the ServiceNow store, so a customer can actually go up into the store and bring AutomationEdge down. There's two ways to activate the connector, if you will. One, again, is through the ServiceNow App Store. The other would be through AutomationEdge and our Process Studio, where you can activate it through the ServiceNow plugin. So there's many ways that you can get started in leveraging AutomationEdge and our business process automation to satisfy non-IT requests. So we're excited. We believe ServiceNow is excited about the partnership, and we're the only RPA product in the market that is actually listed in the ServiceNow store. So that's a great accomplishment for AutomationEdge, and we appreciate all the support from our partners at ServiceNow. Next slide, please. We're also very honored and excited about being one of the only or the only RPA provider within AutomationEdge that are both in the IT process automation market guide as well as the RPA market guide. And to really be successful at non-IT process automation, you really need both sides to create that end-to-end workflow, end-to-end process automation to accomplish the removal of these mundane manual tasks into more of a automation journey the process automation journey is part of a digital transformation. Either companies have focused on it or they will be focused on it. It's really not a matter of if, we feel it's a matter of when. So great accomplishment for Automation Edge and working with Gartner to be in both market guys, and we feel that this is very key for a RPA provider to be able to cross both spectrums to give you that full end-to-end capabilities. And Automation Edge has achieved that. So with this, I'd like to turn it over to Uday. Please enjoy the rest of the webinar, and we'll talk later. Uday.
Hey, thanks, Ed. Yeah. So we'll now go into introducing Automation Edge and talk about how is that non-IT's automation is kind of achieved through ServiceNow. So let me first explain what it takes to automate activities currently when we have is traditionally been automating some of these requests using APIs, right, through ServiceNow and maybe some of the orchestration tools. But essentially what it means is software development efforts and as well as the investment and the cost involved. So the traditional approach which was there before RPA was to use BPM, SOA, and those kind of technologies to integrate different systems. And those were the projects which were stalled because not enough ROI justify the investments out there. So that's where RPA changes the approach. RPA brings in is doing automation using the surface of the application or the UI of the application instead of going to the backend and database or API calls. So for example, reading from one source, applying certain rules and entering the information into another system. Think of it as like, I want to know my leave balance. So it can be, though we have a deep connector with ServiceNow, right? But let's say the request may be coming from a say SAP system, right? In a SAP system, the request has come, somebody wants to kind of load an order or kind of update a CRM. So what RPA does is it goes to SAP system from its front end screens, literally clicks on a button, logs into SAP system, reads certain information, and apply certain rules, allow you to apply certain business logic and go and enter that information maybe into a CRM system or HRMS system in this case where the leave to be updated on that target system. So there is no backend system access, API access are done in this process. So you basically through a process studio of Automation Edge, you can literally say that launch this application, click on this button, go to navigate to a page and read that a particular set of information from that. So that is how RPA works, and that's what is Automation Edge helps you into automating your non-IT requests. Because if you see non-IT requests to be automated, many of these business applications, it's maybe that APIs are not available or they are very costly to kind of integrate with a system like, as I said, SAP or Oracle or Workday. Or an expense management system. So in that case, RPA becomes a very handy tool. Let me explain in terms of where all RPA can be used and in which all processes you can use Automation Edge technology. Essentially, you can use it in every department, whether it is front office, back office, middle office, or IT operations. And today we are majorly going to focus on is the back office operations, where there are a lot of such requests on the non-IT side are coming in because you as ServiceNow users would have configured a lot of requests which are for IT as well as non-IT into your ServiceNow platform. And in that case, how do we, and the current process would be that the ticket gets assigned after the workflow is followed, approvals are done for those requests, is you go and somebody from that particular department works on that ticket to fulfill it. And we will see how Automation Edge can change that scenario, right? And Ed has already talked about is the human capital and the cost involved in that process. So this is how Automation Edge platforms enables you to build those automations quickly. Is we have a concept of one is a ready task and ready action bots, wherein, for example, we have built is a ready action bot for ServiceNow. So there we don't have to use is a UI of ServiceNow. We have used ServiceNow's APIs and made them available, easy to use in a drag and drop fashion. Just and create a ticket, update a ticket, or delete a ticket, and things like that. So that's our ready task, and there are other ready tasks like classification and such things. And then there is the ability to build is using UI automation. You can automate certain business applications. As I said, you can click on a button, you can kind of log in into a system through using our software bots. So that's the technology allows you to build the bots. Once you build those things, you are essentially building is a unit process for automation. For example, you are building is I want to know my leave balance. So in that case, it will use ServiceNow plugin, read the request that somebody has requested for know the balance of leave, and then it will go into your say HRMS system using the workflow and automation workflows which are built, and literally log in as a human do or a HR person would do. It will log in and get the value of the leave balance and send the response back to ServiceNow with the balance leave available for that employee. That's how you build a unit process. So in this case, his request for leave balance is a unit process. Right. So then you basically, once you build that workflow using our developer tool, you deploy that on one of the robot agents. So these are digital workers. They are kind of they work 24/7. There is the horizontal scalability, so you can go on adding more and more robot agent as the volume of work increases. And there is a robot controller which assigns that work to these different robots. And this can be deployed on-prem as well as on cloud. And essentially, you are building these robot apps like front office bot or invoice processing bot or service desk automation bot. And your processes have then become digital processes, and those can be again made available through a ServiceNow self-service catalog. So essentially, the requests are initiated from ServiceNow, and automated action goes and happens on using these robots on the target system based on the workflows that you have built. And then you can make these available through the ServiceNow system to your employees, customers, vendors, and channel partners. So we go beyond RPA. RPA is one of the important technology where you do is automation using UI. We allow you to kind of bring in a lot of external data as well efficiently. Third thing is where we support is the IT's automation, and we'll talk probably in the next webinar in this series where we are going to talk about is how do you do IT and non-IT's automation together. For example, in an employee onboarding case, there we'll talk about how IT automation comes into picture. And then the fourth one is the cognitive capabilities, where you can do is you can build your own logic for machine learning, or you can use some of the ready bots which are available along with the platform, like classification of the tickets based on emails coming in on a support desk and going and assigning those onto the service desk like ServiceNow here. So this is how your catalog would look like, and some of the catalog elements or requests are automation candidate, and let me talk about those. Right. So here, for example, in a back office, somebody wants to update is a personal record, and that request can come from ServiceNow, and AutomationEdge picks up that request once it is put in ServiceNow and go and update the personal record into your HRMS system using the technology what I talked about, which is RPA. In the same way, you can use it for many HR requests, and we have seen that volume of these HR requests in larger companies can be as high as where there are a couple of tens of people are attending those HR requests and going on doing mundane and repetitive tasks every day. So they can be freed And another thing is the end user get a faster response because of this technology. The same way you can use it in other departments like say procurement, where there is a supply invoice to be processed or a supplier to be created, or in finance or sales and marketing, travel and admin requests. In fact, you can extend this technology and these requests in ServiceNow for business operations as well, for your line of business, where they also have certain requirements of request kind of a scenario, and then there is approval, and then ultimately they want is a fulfillment of that request. For example, it may be that a business operation wants to do is a quotation for a new policy, which is coming from a channel partner or an end customer. They can put, the branch offices can use ServiceNow's console, and once they enter the information to get a quotation for say a fire insurance policy, the bot at the back end, AutomationEdge bot, can read that request from ServiceNow, go and create a quotation, and possibly send that back to that agent sitting on a branch office, who can hand over that quotation to the person walking into the branch. So that's how that end-to-end automation, even for branch operations, can be used using ServiceNow and AutomationEdge together. So these are benefits for using ServiceNow and AutomationEdge. One is that you are getting is a drag and drop for ServiceNow technology. You don't have to really deal with APIs and complexities involved. There are ready bot actions to kind of deal with or help you in non-IT's automation. For example, reconciliation. So for reconciliation, you need deduplication and name matching algorithms. So those are built into the product, and they are also available as a drag and drop. It helps you in your shift left approach, and then essentially you are building is an end-to-end solution for automation here, because business workflows are built into ServiceNow, approval, and then automation. Right, so this is a case study. This is a government agency which basically use this for supplier management, and in this they could reduce the cost by 50%, where there is service desk staff which are involved in the supplier creation. Accuracies are basically improved to 100% level. Turnaround time is improved. So basically, if you see here, service request and approval happens into a service management system. And once that approval is done, going and doing a due diligence and then creating a supplier, that effort which where humans were involved, that is kind of done by the bots. And that's where the savings are there. That's where the other benefits are. Importantly, like compliance, where the bank account details and all that, those are done by the bot who don't have intentions, and all traceability is there from ServiceNow system who has added a new supplier. So this is the last slide where I want to talk about is how do you can use this technology. So there is an option to use is F3 bot, which is essentially a free bot, which you can use to automate one of the use case which you might have for automation candidate and use that in production, or you can apply for a trial. So with that, I would like to hand over this session to Varun, who will walk us through the product demo and actually show the technology under the hood.
Thank you, Uday, and thanks, Ed, for the for the initiation and highlight. Now let us see the AutomationEdge app in action for fulfilling the request. So before we start the walkthrough, I would like to give an overview of mechanism that we have for talking between AutomationEdge and ServiceNow. So essentially what we have first is AutomationEdge integration app. This app is already available in ServiceNow store, and we can use this to primarily automate service requests in ServiceNow. So how it works is that any user can go and log a service request in self-service portal, and the integration app, which is enabled on ServiceNow platform, has a mapping wizard which carries out one-to-one mapping of catalog fields with AutomationEdge workflow fields, which helps to pass on the value to AutomationEdge bot so that it can execute the request with various HR, admin, and finance systems. Once completed, the bot updates the service request status as completed on the ServiceNow platform. So let me show you a couple of use cases on how it works. So let us first go to the self-service portal and select the request for employee details which needs to be updated. So the end system that we have right now is the Orange HRMS system that we are going to use. So right now we are going to go to Service Catalog. We are going to navigate to the service request, employee master data update, and we are essentially going to update the details which needs to be updated for a particular employee. So at times what happens is, like post onboarding process, if any employee wants their data to be updated, like say modify the passport details. So in this case, so let us say that I'm updating the employee number and adding the passport number. Then I add the issue date, and subsequently I'll be updating the expiry date. Then I'll put the overall requester email ID over there who is requesting these changes to be carried out. Once I submit this request, it goes in for the approval stage. So let us navigate to the approval flow, wherein we go to the service request and we approve the request essentially. And once approved, what we have next is the one-to-one mapping that we have with the AutomationEdge bot. So at this stage, the request now goes to the AutomationEdge queue. And as we can see in the queue, the request gets updated over there. So the employee that I entered initially was the details for 008. So this is the place now where what bot is doing is now the bot is executing the request. So the entire UI action that we saw right now, that was being executed by the bot, and the queue and the request for the bot got completed. And once the request gets completed, it comes back to the overall staging area, wherein the request gets successfully updated and it gets closed. So the respective data can be updated and seen in the HRMS, in the Orange HRMS as well, for the details that have been created. Now we will validate the request. And we'll see what is the end result that we get for this service request. So essentially the request gets completed successfully, and it got executed by the bot at the back end. Also in the staging area, what we can see is the output that we have. So the output that we get from AutomationEdge bot was that your data was updated successfully. Now we can validate what that data was that was updated. So we updated details for Amy James Smith, and if we go to their record, we'll see that all the information that we had updated for their passport details is now reflecting here, which was updated by the bot that we had seen earlier. Okay. So let us take another use case. In this, an employee will apply for a leave application. So let us go to the ServiceNow portal. Now this is something that happens. Let's say if an employee is on an emergency leave and they send an update to their manager that they are updating. So they go to their manager and they just update that okay, they are on a vacation. So first we'll go to the Orange HRMS system and we'll see what are the leave details which are available for Mr. James Smith. And what we see over here is that they have a sick leave for 2.5 days and a privilege leave for 3.75 days, which is already present for them. So let's say as an end user or as a manager, I go to the portal, I go to the service catalog. I already got a message from Amy saying that she will not be available in office. So I go to the AutomationEdge catalog over there and I apply for the leave. on behalf of Amy. So once we have the catalog item open, we'll be filling up the details on behalf of Amy over here. Yeah. So we'll add Amy's employee number, which is 0008. Add the leave as leave type as sick leave. We'll update the date. Let's say it was an emergency leave. So let's say from today to next day. And we'll update the comment saying that okay, it was a part of a sick leave, and we'll update the email ID for the notification process. So this email ID that we are mentioning over here will be the email ID on which we are going to get the notification. So now we are going to immediately jump on to the approval flow. We'll essentially just approve the request. Once the request gets approved, the AutomationEdge it immediately picks up. It is continuously polling at the staging area in ServiceNow. So it picks up the request. We can see the request in the queue, and the status comes in as new. Once we refresh, the execution is being carried out by the bot. Now, what we can see essentially is that the bot is going through the UI, navigating on various forms and updating the leaves. So this entire execution is done by the bot. Okay, and now we can see that the leave balance that is available for Amy has been updated. Okay, so the bot is doing the execution over there, and once it gets completed, so as we can see the request is successfully updated over there, and we can see the status as completed over here, and eventually the service request for which we created this particular request, this is also finished. This is also completed. So the status gets completed over here, and the output that we get from AutomationEdge is that leave applied successfully for user ID 0008. And now we can validate what is the leave balance which is available for Amy. And what we can see is that, okay, she already applied for a leave, and now the number of days she applied for was 1 as a part of sick leave. Okay, now we have one more mechanism which we use for as a connector between AutomationEdge and ServiceNow to talk, which is the AutomationEdge plugin. So what plugin essentially does is it helps us to update, delete, or insert a record on the ServiceNow platform, and it can even fetch these details and pass it on to other third-party applications for execution overall. So I'm sure you all might be having a lot of queries. So I would like to hand over at this stage to Ed, so that we can start taking questions after that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Varun. And yeah, we just wanted to again, my contact information is up on the screen. Please feel free to reach out to me or information at AutomationEdge. We do have part 2 and part 3 of our webinar series, September 20th, and then following October 9th, and we hope you'll be able to join us. And now we'll go through a Q&A session, and don't know if anything was submitted, so Nilesh, maybe you can help us. Are there any questions out there? Again, if to submit questions would be in the control panel under questions, and if you have any, please put them at this time.
Yeah, so some of the questions have started coming in. One of the participant question about I am keen to understand learning capabilities and integration on the historical data. So this is something we are going to cover in this webinar, as I had said, a series. So first one is for non-IT automation, which you are attending today. The second one is how do you use ServiceNow for non-IT and IT automation both. That's the topic of the next webinar. And the following one is intelligent and cognitive capabilities of AutomationEdge and how do you use that in ServiceNow. So that's the third webinar. So you will get more about this. You will hear about machine learning capabilities in the third webinar in this series. The next question is, how is AutomationEdge licensed? So the AutomationEdge licensed based on these digital workers or these robot agents, which work 24/7. So there is a subscription price for that, which is a bot license. And then you have is the add-on license related to the ready plugins. So the ready plugins like ServiceNow plugin or a plugin to a ServiceNow system and things like that. So there is a question on how do we differentiate against other industry products in the RPA space. So we do have capabilities. You would have seen our wheel during the presentation. We say that we are RPA, but we go beyond RPA. That wheel essentially explains how we differentiate in the marketplace.
Yeah, and Uday, I'll also add in that, we come with a tremendous number of plugins and ready adapters. So I feel that we are different within that fashion. I believe our architecture is also a bit different from parallel processing, multi-threaded, etc. So we do have some differentiation between AutomationEdge and some of the other solutions in the market.
Next question is, how do I, if I had to try AutomationEdge, how do I go about doing it? Essentially, you can go to ServiceNow, and if you search for AutomationEdge, you will find the app there. You can install the app in your ServiceNow environment, and we provide is instruction how to configure it. And then essentially you are able to get started.
Yeah, and also Ed, if you need to get started and you're looking to, then certainly feel free to send me an email. Send an email at info@automationedge.com, and we will certainly respond expeditiously.
Yeah, so the next question is, while integrating with SAP, SAP license is consumed by the bot? Yes, so it will consume SAP's one user license while acting on basically and doing automation, for example, invoice processing or getting certain status from SAP system and all of that. Yeah, so one license will be used of a SAP system, but essentially bot will transactions much more faster, or typically when the users are free, that's the time you can use even for automating the activities which are end of the day job time. The next question is, how easy for no resources to use AutomationEdge technology? See, the AutomationEdge is built using Java technology. Essentially, the development, if you have to do is build a complex automation, maximum you have to do is Java programming, and that also in a rare scenarios. Essentially, the technology allows you to do is drag and drop automation. Maybe in the next webinars, we will show you how our developer studio looks like and how do we drag a ServiceNow step, which is, let's say, create a ticket in ServiceNow, or let's say go and SAP, and how do you input an invoice there. So we'll show some of those kind of things where essentially these are this technology that, to answer your question, for ServiceNow skilled folks, AutomationEdge will not be like a steep learning curve.
Yeah, and Uday, I'll also add that that's another differentiator within our Process Studio, is really once the investment occurs within AutomationEdge, then it's a speed to value, because with all of the adapters and the ready bots, a lot of the programming is not going to be needed. You can drag and drop and create that end-to-end workflow, and that brings speed to value to stand up a enterprise workflow.
Yeah, another question is, I have a customer and can I get a deck for presenting it to a customer? Definitely, you can, if you are a partner, you can request for it, or as an end customer, if you have the need, we'll be happy to present it and share the deck as well. Question is the plugin free for all the versions? So we have two types of plugins, right? So the plugins which are free, which are ready actions, and then there are advanced plugins which are charged. Okay, so I'll take a last question. There are many more which are coming up, and if they are not answered, then you can definitely send. We will note those. You can keep on sending those questions, and we will send the answers one to you. Right. So the next question is the action done on third-party system, for example, HRMS. Is it record and play? Yes, that's basically, it's not a record and play, but it uses is the UI automation approach. It's basically a drag and drop approach. We don't believe in a record and playback, because there is a lot of garbage which gets created in the process. Which is much more clean and maintainable code when you are able to do the UI automation through a drag and drop technology. Right, so we would like to stop here because we are top of this allocated time for this session. We would like to thank you, all of you, and for attending this webinar, and we look forward to all of you to join us in this series of webinars. And thanks again, and please do share the questions if you have, and on the email IDs which you have shared, and we'll be happy to answer them. Thank you again.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.